Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello, this is your host, JC Soto with Online Media 360. Today, my guest is a career transition and performance coach, Rolf. And he's going to talk about some of the tips and the ways to make it a successful transition for a lot of especially C-level executives and employees that want to either move on to a new career or they're probably forced out of their current career. So welcome to the show, Rex.
Thank you much. Glad to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity.
And I know you're also the president and owner of Cornerstone Performance Group. How do you help clients with your company?
Well, my goal is to help them in transition. I say, I help people move in, out, up, or over within an organization. Sometimes they're trying to penetrate a new organization. That could be helping them with career transition coaching to get in, or once they're in, help them with assimilating and integrating well with the company. They're trying to grow up within the company, assume higher levels of leadership and more significance. Sometimes they're moving over to another division or role. They're transitioning. And sometimes they need to move out. It's no longer a fit for them, and they're looking for something to transition out of an organization. So it's both transition from a job standpoint, but also it could be professional development or leadership coaching just to put them in a better position of success.
A lot of people do that by themselves, and probably they're not having the most success. What are the benefits and advantages of hiring someone professional that can help them through that process?
Well, hopefully it's get them there better, faster, and more cost effective than they're going to get there on their own. Many people don't know what they don't know. And so they take not always the path of least resistance to get to where they're trying to get to. And most of us, we all want to be economical with our time and our resources, et cetera. And maybe we've had it easy in the past where, jobs have come to us, and we're always getting that phone call from a former manager, come and work with me. So they get lulled into this false sense of security that it's going to be easy. And I've seen this, throughout my career, but especially most recently, where things are different or forced on you, or you reach that. You see it a lot in mid-career, where sometimes people, maybe they feel their best days are left behind and they're not the first one chosen anymore. And so they're a little stuck, and they try to, figure it out, go out and do their own research, and their brand isn't established or proper, which I know, JC, you help people a lot with. Their messaging isn't clear. Their materials are not well branded. They don't utilize or fully have an enhanced LinkedIn profile. They're just not prepared, and they don't even know it. And for every, month that they're not where they need to be, that costs them real money, right? So if you're aspiring to earn a certain wage, or you're out of a job, for every month you're not there, that's your net cost, as well as the emotional cost, et cetera. So again, I just try to help them find the path of least resistance, better, faster, and cheaper than they'll get there on their own.
You said that a lot of times they're not ready. They don't know they're not ready enough, right? Mm-hmm. So probably they also have a lot of misinformation out there that they're following, and they're probably doing things, they're probably harming themselves more instead of hiring someone that can guide them. What kind of misinformation do you find out that the internet is providing to these candidates?
Well, everybody's got a solution to something, and so there's a lot of confusion in the market. And I think people get bombarded and they don't know, even if they think they need help, it's confusing, what is the best kind of help that I should get, and is it cost effective? I think there's so much things that does not allow things to happen at a relational level. I know you and myself and et cetera, you've got to connect at the relational level first and make sure that collaboration is established, that mutual trust is established, et cetera. Because a lot of people are working out of fear, either avoiding to do something out of fear or doing something out of fear. And it's not always the best path. And so people like us, we try to facilitate them in the right direction and sometimes help them discover for themselves. Because I think so many people are telling every individual what to do and how to do it, that learning never takes place because it's not facilitated properly to help them get there, so they discover along the way. And so that's part of my job is make sure whatever they learn is the process that they can repurpose. Many clients that I work with, perhaps you, they're maybe mid-career, and they're going to go through several changes or transitions before they retire. And if I can give them the best practice that they could continue to repurpose once they've got that, mastered that, that's something they carry with them, and it pays dividends beyond their career, so they don't have to keep, seeking out, spending a lot of money and the next counselor or coach up. I'd rather do work that is a next level work or something that is a little bit different than maybe what I've done before, because if I'm doing the same thing I did before, then we didn't teach it right the first time. So it's ingrained in them. So, and so I think those are the important things. But I think just people act or don't act out of simply a fear, which is often, as you know, false evidence appearing real. Yeah,
and any transition, especially career transitions, kind of be terrorizing for a lot of people. What kind of fears do you see that they bring to you when they come and want to talk to you?
First of all, many people, and even people you would think would have it all together, when you tear the layers of the onion back, there's a lot of insecurities. Sometimes they're professional insecurities, personal insecurities, and they don't want those really all that transparent. And so those insecurities can kind of inhibit progress. So one of the things to do is kind of break those insecurities down and help them with career direction. Many people just simply do not know what they want to do next. They need validation. People go through different phases. I always tell people, I'll get a client and they say, Rex, I don't know what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I always stop and say, please don't ask yourself that question, that you're being way too hard on yourself. Rarely do we come out of college with one view and find ourselves 25 years later sitting in the place we thought we were going to be. So you have to break your career down almost like life into phases. You made the best decisions you could at the time that put you where you are. That doesn't mean that you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life from a standpoint, I've just always gotten it wrong. Well, that's not true. It's a new phase. It's a new reevaluation. It's a new time to set a new direction. But to look back and be critical is not helpful. You know why you made the decisions at the time that you thought were right. So we go with that. Well, let's try to put a process together that gives you greater validation, more sense of security that you're making the right decision for this phase of your life. Because guess what? A new phase is looming. But if we could teach you good change management skills, transition skills, decision-making skills, give you tools and assessments that will help you to feel good about the decisions you make. It's like the preponderance of evidence is telling me I need to go this way.
Exactly.
We're not robots. It's not black and white. It's gray. But we've done all the due diligence we can. And so the preponderance of evidence says, let's take this direction. Now, when you leap into the marketplace and you take that direction, what you do is find that there's so many things out there that you weren't even aware existed. But because you acted, because you stepped into the marketplace, you've allowed yourself to discover things that if you had avoided acting out of fear, you would have never found those other things. So you start with the things that make most sense, go for those, and a whole plethora of new things are going to open up that you can't even imagine if you're acting and moving forward.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't move forward. And that's probably one of the biggest mistakes. They're afraid to move forward and they get stuck. And what are all the pitfalls you find that they have to challenge themselves to go through before they can make it through the other side, if you will?
Well, they're afraid of making the wrong decision. People that are highly analytical and do a lot of paralysis through analysis, it's really tough on those. People that are a little bit more subjective and take a few more risks, they'll take in enough evidence to say, okay, I'm ready to go. But people, so I see this in different personality or work styles, depending on what they are and how they kind of move forward. So it's just, I need to be certain. I can't be wrong. I use a term, and I don't believe failing is until you quit. When you quit, you fail. But sometimes when it appears we're failing, as long as we're failing forward is okay. Because now we're pointed in some direction. We're just going to we'll get back up, and eventually you're going to land in something, quite satisfying. And so, I'm an optimist, and you probably are too, because we've probably seen a lot of people go from one state of, sometimes uncertainty or desperation, and you see them come out the back end in a much more confident state, much more certain state. And that transformation is pretty cool to see. That's where the real satisfaction of what we do comes in. So, and I think helping people set the right kinds of expectations so that if they're off mark just a little bit, that they can readjust, not be, say, overly damaged by it, and keep moving forward. And then when they look back, they might, well, not too bad. Well done, good and faithful servant. I guess I did okay, and I navigated pretty well. I think a lot of people, when they get to those older years, they say, one of the things I hear a lot, I wish I'd have taken more risk.
Yes.
I was too conservative. I was too afraid, and too afraid to fail, but without the mindset of failing forward.
Yeah. Too many regrets at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
We all have them.
Yeah, we'll have them, and we got to deal with them our own ways. Yeah. Now, looking at you, you must have some kind of process or steps that kind of nothing in life is guaranteed, but makes the process a little more palatable and maybe more chances of being successful. You have those steps?
Yes, certainly. Yes, absolutely. There is a fundamental set of best practice steps, if you will, the process you referred to, methodology, that works pretty much universally, and what always has to be done is applied uniquely to the individual. When you are seasoned in whatever craft you do, there's an art and a science to what you do. So the process is the science, the art is the application of it that is adjusted and directed towards the individual and their particular circumstances. For career transition, now career transition is one thing, leadership development is another process, performance enhancement is another. Quickly on leadership development, I have kind of 4 phases. One is called market readiness. That can be done in as soon as 30 days. It's about doing situational analysis, Q&A, getting kind of an understanding of where the individual lies. Assessments, I like to validate with assessments, looking at their skills, abilities, interests, competencies, get a good picture and foundation that's validated what some of those strengths are and things that we need that to try to enhance that may not be as strong a suit. So once we achieve market readiness, we're ready for prime time, which would include a good branding statement, a good branded resume. Branding statement, I mean by elevator pitch, a good branded resume, an enhanced LinkedIn profile, some other supporting documents that helps communicate your value proposition, and finally a sales plan, a marketing plan, a go-to-market strategy that and means by how you're going to track your activity, et cetera. I call that getting market ready. Market engagement is the next phase. That's actualizing your marketing plan. That's putting that sales plan to work and monitoring it and making sure you're making progress and achieving the milestones you need to achieve and actively engaging the market. It won't come to you. Really, it's sales. You're the product and service. You got to identify your target market, like your messaging material, all that, and you have to go out and engage a network. Yes, there are tools like job boards and employment agencies and things like that that are valuable tools, but you're not in control of those things. The only thing you're in control of is your own activity. And so that's what we do. That's market engagement. Then once somebody lands a job, then we oftentimes will go into onboarding, assimilation, integration coaching. You work really hard to get a new job. Companies do not do a good job of really assimilating you. They onboard you. We're like, here's your computer. They put you through a training class. Your boss takes you out to lunch. give you your computer, show you where the bathroom is, and boom, now go make hay. But until you are relationally and culturally and systematically assimilated into that company, you're going to be going through kind of tepid, not knowing where and how to step because you don't have the answers to those things. What are the guardrails of the culture? What is my boss's management style? How far can I go? How not? And you kind of feel your way out for 3 to 6 months and run into barriers, maybe conflict barriers because you didn't know each other. You broke certain cultural norms that you didn't know were institutional to the organization.
Get yourself
most people fall out of a job not because they're not technically qualified. It's because something cultural or relational from an individual or team standpoint has not going well. So we work to help eliminate those barriers, give coaching tools how to properly assimilate, onboard, and integrate. And then finally, professional development is the next phase. To perform in the new role, you may need to develop some new competencies or behavior traits. So that might require leadership coaching around certain again, competencies, which are behavior traits or acumen that the company is going to require for the new job. You may have known this, JC and mine. Anytime I went into a new job or got promoted, sometimes 25 to 30% of that job I'd never done before or not like that. So I had to figure it out. So many times I'd have to bring new behaviors to the game that I've never used before or honed. Well, how do you do that? And that's where coaching come in to help you craft that. And finally, through that, then you've got the pieces, and a lot of those things once learned, then you can keep repurposing in the future because now you have the foundation of the education to do so.
That's very important, the foundation. Now, how do you get involved? How do you get started yourself in this industry?
How did I?
Yeah, you yourself.
Well, a lot less planful than I teach, right? I don't know, maybe you could relate to that, how you got where you are versus where you came from, right?
We sometimes land there.
Yeah, we land there, right? There's a story over beers that we could talk about how we each landed where we land. But for public consumption, we'll say this. I had kind of aspirations. I was, loved athletics, and I had the aspirations of playing high levels of football. I was fortunate to play at Ohio State and went on and had some good years there, but I did have an injury and realized that anything beyond that at the next level that everybody idealizes about professional football wasn't going to happen. And so graduated with a business degree, industrial management. I grew up in Ohio. My first job was in California. I went to work as a financial analyst for a defense contractor. And picture this scene. You hear about all the $600 hammers and $800 toilets and everything and wasteful money in defense and whatnot. Well, I was a financial analyst working, I remember, was a torpedo project. And I didn't know anything about torpedoes, but I was crunching numbers for torpedoes. So I give all these engineers all my financial data and where they're spending money wisely or not, and they could have cared less. I was just handing stuff. It went nowhere. I was in this massive room. I don't know how many, it seemed like acres, but say call it an acre. I don't know. But all it was cubicles. And you'd see these heads pop up like mole rats, like whack-a-mole. And you'd look up and there's a head pop up over here and a head pop up over there. And I go, what am I doing? This doesn't mean anything to anybody. I'm a rat, great company, not all, but so a friend of mine that I happened to run into, was a recruiter, and he recruited in accounting, finance, and IT. Well, I had finance in my background. I said, anything's got to be better than this. So I'm going to go do that. I didn't have a career coach. I was winging it. Didn't take the path of least resistance. It took me 4 years to come to this decision, and it was only through luck of running into somebody. And so, I went into recruiting and I liked it and I was successful at it. And then, we had one of the owners of the company, we just didn't see eye to eye. Several of us values wise didn't kind of meet our value standards. And I remember this manager, he was a very boisterous, big, large gentleman, and he would berate people in public all the time in the office. Didn't do so much me, but he did a lot. And one day he did it on a Friday I'll never forget, and he was just ripping somebody that was a friend. It was public, and I just reacted, and I stood up and I said, I'm out of here. By then, when I thought what I did, well, I've already committed, so I got to go. And 3 other people followed me. We walked across the street to a bar. It's called Brett's Place. George Brett, the former baseball player of the Kansas City Royals, owned this bar. It was in Hermosa Beach. We went across to have a beer. We go, oh my God, what did we do? We just quit our jobs. And so we said, okay, we got to go create a company. So we went and started a search firm in our own image. The company we worked for was in business 7 years. After we left, they were in business 7 months. We went and created a new company, was successful. We had about 6, 7, 8 years. And that started my interest in in helping people with transition as a recruiter. We started adding things to our practice like leadership and assimilation, more of a qualitative process around helping people land jobs. I then eventually sold my interest in the business, transitioned from there, and went to work because I wanted to get more in the leadership area. A global talent management consulting firm called Right Management. They were the world's largest outplacement provider, so a lot of career coaching. I moved to Denver, took a kind of a local sales role, then became a managing principal and was there 15 years, promoted 4 times, and was running Central North America, about 18 markets. So I learned the whole talent management space of transition, leadership, team development, all of those kinds of things, communications, individual organizational assessment, change management. And I just loved all that stuff, helping companies and teams and individuals grow in transition and development. And I was there 15 years. Then we got acquired. And so I had another career change in front of me because I didn't want to move to Philadelphia or Milwaukee, which were 2 of the options. So I left there and went with a leadership development training company for a couple of years, but they went through a lot of management change. I said, you know what? I'm going to go do this on my own. And I made another change and decided to open up Cornerstone about 8, 9 years ago. And so I've been doing private coaching hundreds of people all over the world in all kinds of professional walks of life. I've got amazing stories of people I've worked with. And that's what's kind of led me to all of this. But, you know, like a lot of people, it's kind of out of desperation. I'm not happy. So I got to make a move. And I failed forward a couple of times with not a plan. But when I figured out how to put the plan together, then things took off.
They came together.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a while now. Can you give me maybe 3, 4 tips for my listeners on how to perform or how to go through this career transition process?
Well, obviously it depends on if you're going alone or going with somebody. But I think that none of us have achieved anything alone, and we're not likely to achieve anything going forward alone. And so if you try to do it alone, even if it's seeking best advice from friends, I'd say just don't do it alone. And don't be ashamed of your situation to bring people in to help, whether that's just friends or professional help. The thing is, a lot of people are going to want to emotionally help, but they're only going to help up to their ability to help. And then they'll kind of back off from that. They don't want to break anything. Plus, they don't want the responsibility or accountability for your success or not if they're not sure how to handle it. So sometimes it can be a little disheartening that, you know, people aren't just leaping to help you with referrals and all kinds of things. So you need to make sure that whoever you're seeking help with, you know, knows what they're doing. And, but the first thing is do not try to go it alone. Ask questions, get referrals. If you're looking for a coach, go online, look at LinkedIn recommendations. If you want somebody to help you write a good LinkedIn profile, look at their LinkedIn profile. And if it doesn't appeal to you, and they're not big users of LinkedIn, well, that should tell you things, right?
Exactly. Yes. Contradiction.
Right. So, but you got to do your due diligence. I think at the end of the day, it's about fit. And do I just feel comfortable with somebody? What will be the experience like working with them? I think you can kind of figure out credentials, but will I anticipate and be excited about jumping on a call or a Zoom? And do I feel better informed or exhilarated after I get off? What will the experience like? And I think you really have to make sure that you're kicking the tires so you know if it's just a good fit. I do the same thing. I got to make sure it's a good fit with a client. I don't take every client. Most of them, it all works out great. I've even fired a few clients because they're not putting the work into it, or they don't have a good attitude. Some people will hurt themselves in spite of themselves, right? And I mean, it's a small minority, but it's got to be a good fit.
Yeah, that was my next question. What would people look for in someone that they want to hire to help them with this career transition? You just answer that. Anything else?
Well, competence, they're certainly their body of work. I would look, like I said, at different things like are they highly recommended in LinkedIn and whatnot. I think credentials, certifications, look at where they've worked. If I see people that have a pattern of just it's in my business, they went from I'm being real facetious here, from a truck driver to a policeman to an attorney, and now they end up in career coaching. I don't know if that's the best path to get there. So is this their life work? Can you see the path that helps them just grow and expand into that? So that matters. And I think, again, going back to the fit, ultimately it's likability. I mean, when it really comes, am I going to like this guy and or woman and like working with them?
You're going to go through a really stressful process that, you got to be able to get along with that person and trust that person.
As stressful as it is, it should be enjoyable. And it's got to be all appropriate, but I think humor is appropriate at times. And just, you got to set the tone of the attitude that you want them to eventually adopt. And you got to believe it, right?
Something you said, they have to be congruent. If they have you doing work on LinkedIn, like you said, you got to be able to check out their profile and be something that is professional also.
Correct.
So Rex, if someone wants to contact you, how can they do that?
Well, my website, it's goforcornerstone.com. That's the number 4, numeric 4, not FOR, goforcornerstone.com. You can look at the website. There's a connection page there. You can also go to LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, message me that way. rex.rolf@goforcornerstone.com is my email. Again, the number 4, so you can reach me that way. And I think that should be pretty easy. My name's pretty easy, Rex, R-E-X, Rolf, R-O-L-F. You're not going to find many of those. I'm not a Smith or Jones, so I'm pretty easy to find out there.
Yeah, so to my listeners, all his links are going to be just below the recording. Rex, thank you for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us today. Appreciate it. Any last minute words for us?
No, I'm grateful for the opportunity. JC, very well how important branding is. I mean, you're a subject matter expert in that and promotion, and so the importance of that. And I'm sure, people of our clientele kind of tend to blend and overlap. So you can probably relate to a lot of the clients that I work, and I could relate to a lot of yours because part of what you're helping people in organizations do, I'm doing too. I take it so far, and then of the art and science of it, and then the art and science of really developing that brand to take things to a whole nother level is your expertise. So I know you can relate to that, and I would throw a pitch back to you if any of my clients see this and need a good person to want to create a good personal brand and whatnot and promote yourself and your business, that you're the go-to guy for that.
One last thing before we leave.
Mm-hmm.
You never mentioned that you're a football coach.
Oh, yeah. So about 14 years ago, I met a guy at my church, and he was on the board of directors of a new startup high school, and it was right across the street from where I went to church. And he found out that I played at Ohio State. He was a USC guy, played baseball there, so we talk sports all the time. He said, well, hey, my son, who used to play at University of Nebraska, is going to coach high school ball over there. He said, your background, they're looking for high school coaches. Maybe you'd like to do it. And I kind of said, it might be fun, and kind of wrote it off. Well, on a Monday, I got a call from the new head coach that moved out here from California. The stadium wasn't built, hardly even the school had just completed. And I met him on a Thursday at Los Toros restaurant. And I was on the field on Monday, and I haven't left for 14 years.
Wow.
I coach at Valor, and it's been a great experience, and 8 state championships in about 13 years of playing ball, and a lot of great kids and D1 athletes, and just been a great experience. So what started as scratching the itch to stay in sports took on a whole nother level of a way to give back to our greatest asset, most important asset is youth, and using a vehicle, which I enjoy, football and sport, provide that. And it's, provided so many more returns and dividends than perhaps I've given out. But I love it when kids, get several calls around Christmas or Easter when kids come home. Hey, coach, let's go to grab some lunch or dinner or whatever. And alumni, and these are lifelong relationships. And if you've been in sport or military or anything where you've had to go through a lot of trial and tribulations, iron sharpens iron, you just can't beat it. And so been great. So I've had both at Ohio State with some championships and Valor championships. I feel pretty blessed to be part of those things.
Yeah, congratulations. You guys have a winning program over there. I know every year they're in the news for all the good reasons. So congratulations, Rex.
Yeah, we're one of those, maybe like sometimes local Alabama. Sometimes people like to put the hurt on you a little bit. Not everybody loves us, but I'd rather be at top not being loved than the bottom being forgotten.
Yeah, well, everybody aims for the one on the top of the hill, so that's the bottom. Yeah. That's the bottom line. So.
But we got to stay humble. We just lost the state championship this year, so we've won 8. We've been there 11 times, and so been to the state championship 11 times, won 8. But it always hurts when you lose. But you just got to feel blessed when you get there, because a lot of times kids can go a whole career, school can go 20 years and not even get there. So we stay humble about that and just keep working hard.
Appreciate it. Well, thanks, Rex. Thank you for spending your time with us today. And to my listeners, all his links are going to be just below the recording.
Awesome.
Rex, have a good afternoon. Great rest of your day.
Do me a favor, will you? Because I'm going to get this out to my audience. Give them your website, if you would, and how they can reach you, JC, as I put this out of mine.
Yeah, my website is onlinemedia360.com, and my email, jc@onlinemedia360.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm JC Soto. Pretty easy to find. So, just contact me either way.
Good.
All right.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Hi, everybody. This is JC with Online Media 360.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.